Welcome to the Wingman Show. My name is Drew Brown, and my wingman, my man, the number one guy I know, Dr. Paul Thompson. What's up, brother? Welcome to the Wingman Show, where we're floating like butterflies and stinging like bees. Rumble, you two badass jet pilots, rumble. My name's Commander Drew. I'm that first badass jet pilot, but the other badass jet pilot is my friend, my wingman, the guy who watches my six, Dr. Paul Thompson. Hello, Brother Paul.
Morning, Commander Drew. It's good to see you. It's good to wake up today. Any day that you wake up is a good day. Even if bad things happened the day before, we got to look forward to the day ahead.
That's true. You could do nothing about yesterday, but you can do everything about now. All right, let's start off with a cool quote there, Doc. Being understood yourself starts with taking the time to understand others. That's by Arthur C. Brooks. One more time. Being understood yourself starts with taking the time to understand others. And that's so true. It's a real art to start listening to other people. And that's how you start getting understood, by trying to understand others. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I do, Commander Drew. I guess the way to really start to understand others is another way of saying you really have to listen. You have to listen to them and observe, but listen. A lot of times we're thinking about what we're going to say, the next thing, the da, the back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, not processing. I do that at times and I realize it. But sometimes you just slow down, take a breath, take two breaths, and quiet your mind and let stuff come in and then let it go out. It doesn't have to be rapid fire all the time. Listen to them.
Well, it's funny. I learned this at a monastery from a Buddhist monk. The way you're supposed to talk to somebody is you're supposed to say something and they should listen and take a second to answer. But like you just said, we're thinking about the answers while they're still talking. So you really should say something. There should be a moment of thought, and then they should say something, a moment of thought, and then you come back. That's the way you should. All right, let's start off with some good news. Well, how about this good news? You and I were looking at AI because the new Apple phone is going to have visual AI. But we were looking at AI and we looked up the Wingman Show, and they got my call sign right, Dark Gable, but they called you Hollywood. Hollywood Paul Thompson. How about that, Doc?
I like that, Commander Drew. Hollywood. That's never heard that before. I was in a magazine one time, but Hollywood. So I guess, like I said, I need an agent, but I'm so big in Hollywood. I think I need a super agent. I need a secret agent.
Yeah. But you were in that magazine, Ebony, and in the Navy, that was your call sign, Ebony. Well,
Well,
here
wow.
at the Wingman Show, we're going to change that bad boy to Hollywood Thompson. How about that?
I'll take it. I'll take it. I'll take a contract. Maybe I can get a movie with Wesley Snipes or something like that.
Well, let's start off some good news. That's what we're about. We're about bringing the people some good news. And my man, Charles Barkley, is back in the news once again. The brother Charles donated $1 million to a New Orleans school for the two girls who came up with the theory, the Pythagorean theory. They have figured it out, and he was so impressed. It's a 2,000-year-old problem, math problem. These two young girls figured it out, and he donated $1 million to the school. He's going to give them $100,000 a year, I guess, for 10 years. What do you think?
I think that's great. I think that's great because you're rewarding academics as though they hit the last shot with the time running out on the clock. Scored the last touchdown. Everybody gets joyous and happy. But a lot of kids don't get that same recognition when they do something with their brain. It's not just rhythm and running, it's rhythm and running upstairs. And that needs to be respected more. And he's really putting his money where his mouth is. I could say all the athletes could do that, or something like that. You could do it with a church or a group. He could easily do it. I think that's excellent. I think that's excellent. And and that's not a big story, is it either? That's not a big story.
No, but you know what? But we're reporting it. Instead of reporting all the robberies and murders and killing, how about reporting that Charles Barkley gave $1 million? Let's do some more good news. And I'm just going to fire these off to you. There was a man who was driving his car and a kid ran into him with his bicycle and dented his car. When he got out of his car, he saw the kid's bike was totaled. It didn't have any brakes on it. That's why he hit the car. And it was just an old raggedy bike. And do you know what this guy did? Do you know what he did to this young man?
What did he do to this poor child?
He bought him a new bike. That's good news. How about that? And how about this one? They have just found a way to vaporize plastic and make it into recyclable plastic. Or how about teens? 500,000 teens have stopped vaping, and it's the lowest vaping for high schoolers in 10 years. And Manuka honey, actually, they found out could cure cancer, can cure some cancer cells. What good news do you want to talk about, Paul? Which one of them?
Manuka honey. Manuka honey. I thought the word Manuka means expensive. I've seen it in stores, and it's like a certain amount. It's like 3 times. I've got it a few times. It tastes about the same. But I've read also where it's good for wound care. You can put it on wounds.
Oh,
Right?
yeah. But yes, 100%. And I was in New Zealand, and the Manuka honey there, they have levels of Manuka honey. They have some very expensive levels of Manuka honey. So obviously, it must really work. But you're right, it is expensive.
Yeah, yeah. And the other piece of good news, Commander Drew, you're talking about the young man in the bicycle. Because I thought when you said, well, he ran into his car, I mean, did he hit him? Maybe it was like a Tesla truck that he just got, and he got upset and he was going to hurt the kid, and he bought him a new bike. Would you do that if you ran into your new Tesla?
Well, my new Tesla actually is stainless steel, so it probably wouldn't have dented. That is really nice for a man to do. Instead of yelling at him, talking about his dent, he looked at the economical situation and saw that this kid really didn't have anything. And the kid, and I'll show a picture of it, the kid started to cry. Just a wonderful story there, Paul. The name of our show this week is How to Be on the Mount Rushmore of Thespians, which are actors. Well, be James Earl Jones. James Earl Jones physically passed away, and he is one hell of an actor. First of all, he was born in Arca Butler, Mississippi, and little Drew and I used to go fish in Arca Butler all the time when we lived in Memphis. It was only about 45 minutes away, and we would go fish in Arca Butler Lake all the time. So I can't believe James Earl Jones was born there. He was also one of the very few actors who has an EGOT. That means an Emmy, a Grammy, an Oscar, and a Tony. Very few actors do that. And he went from Shakespeare to Coming to America. Don't you like James Earl Jones?
Yeah, I thought James Earl Jones was great, and most people probably recognize his voice if nothing else. If you hadn't seen him in a movie lately, because I think he was actually a friend of mine who was in the voiceovers, and 20 years ago he told me James Earl Jones was the #1 voice actor in the United States. But his big thing, this is CNN. You know, he did that for a long time, and The Lion King and Coming to America was great. There's another one. Do you remember the movie Doctor Strangelove?
Yes, that
He's
was
in
my
that.
Uncle Herbie's favorite movie.
Yeah, he's in that too. He's like a bombardier, and he's talking to the captain of the airplane who jumps on a nuclear weapon as it leaves the airplane, which is kind of crazy. But he's in that, and he plays straight. But I saw him one time. I saw him on Broadway. I think it was the movie Fences. He was really into it, as they say. I mean, he was. First time you ever hear people. You ever heard the term "you're spitting mad"?
Yes.
Well, he was angry in the scene, and I saw spit actually fly out of his mouth. I'm halfway back. I could actually see it in the bright light. It's like, wow, he's definitely into that. That's more than the people I see on the street.
No doubt about it. He was angry. Well,
Yeah.
I had a chance to meet him also when I was 14 years old. because my daddy trained Ali. He was in the Great White Hope, and Ali was involved with that a little bit. And so I got to meet James Earl Jones, and he was just so nice and very professional, but he was a great guy. And that Great White Hope, it really related to me. My mother's white, and this was about that boxer, Jack Johnson, who had a white wife, and they really didn't like it back there. So it was really an intriguing story. And then he did the movie on it, Paul.
I remember it was a good movie. And still, I can throw in on James Earl Jones. I think he's also a representative of what you can really do if you have a problem or a disability. Did you know he was a stutterer?
Yes, yes. And he started to write poetry, and a teacher got him out of it. Isn't that right?
Yes, yeah. I met him one time at a dinner we had in Memphis years ago because he's from nearby Mississippi. And I remember talking to him just for a moment. There's like 100 people around there, and you could hear a little bit of the stutter in casual conversation, just a trace of it. But here's like one of the greatest voice actors ever, Darth Vader and all that stuff.
Yeah,
You
let's not forget Star Wars, Paul.
Yes, Darth Vader, absolutely. Yeah.
All right, everybody out there, we're being sponsored by Magic Mind. And one of the things Magic Mind says it helps with is cognition. So Dr. Paul and I, we looked up cognition, and the actual description of cognition is the mental capacity to understand logic and make informed decisions. Well, believe it or not, Dr. Paul and I, we work on this show all the time, every week. And do you know what? It's starting to get easier. I don't know if it's from the Magic Mind, but it seems like we're rolling through this show, our work during the week. And I also am learning Hebrew and Spanish on Duolingo. I used to speak Hebrew, but I'm learning that. And I promise you, it looks like I'm actually learning quicker, Paul.
Yeah, you can get some really good benefits. Like yesterday and the day before, I'm involved in a couple of writing projects, and I was stuck in an area and kind of mulling over for a while. And just yesterday, I was able to just to blast through. Yeah, which I hadn't been for like a couple days. I'd skipped my Magic Mind for a couple days, and I started again, and I blasted through yesterday. I was like, wow.
Well, anybody out there who's interested in Magic Mind, all you have to do is go to magicmind.co. That's magicmind.co. And if you put in the code Wingman20, you'll get 20% off. But then they just told me that if you get a subscription, they will give you 40% off. So if I were you, I would get in touch with magicmind.co. What a great thing, Paul. 40% off.
40% is a lot. It's almost half.
Well, thank you, everybody out there, for watching our show, for listening to our show. We truly appreciate it. We can't thank you enough. On TikTok, on YouTube, on Instagram, and of course, Apple Podcasts. Look at our pictures behind us today. Dr. Paul actually has an A7, which he flew, and he's tanking an F8, which were planes when I first got in, they were leaving the Navy. And behind me, I have our moneymaker. That is the cockpit of a 777, and that's where Dr. Paul and Commander Drew made their money.
Yeah, I like that. It's just like your picture looks like the airplane's on the ground. That's not the display you want to see in the air, but it's a great shot.
But when I first started flying, I would look at a picture like this, and the first thing I would say is, I can't learn where all those buttons and gauges. I cannot do this. Automatically, I used to say that. Well, guess what? We learned it. And after a while, you're looking for some more switches to play with, aren't you, Paul?
Yeah, exactly. And then the modern airplanes have a lot fewer than they used to have, actually.
Well, you can go to our website, and that's wingmanshow.com, wingmanshow.com, and we have a great newsletter, and we also have a frequent flow line. Our newsletter this week it's a good one. How to become a thespian / actor. Paul, I was a thespian, or I am a thespian, and I did a lot of plays in St. Thomas, the Virgin Islands. And do you know what break a leg means? Because everybody always says break a leg, break a leg. Do you have any idea what that actually means?
Okay, let me think. Because you told me once before, and I think it's okay. Now I remember. It's with curtains, right? Isn't it with curtains? The curtains close, or if they open and close a lot, they'll put stress on the structure that keeps the curtains up, and the leg of the curtain falls down. Is it something like that?
That is very, very correct.
Okay.
The stanchions that the curtains were put on were called legs. And they said if you had a great performance and you come out, they close the curtain, then they keep clapping and they open the curtain again. Well, if you did it enough times, I guess back in the day, one of those legs broke, and that means you had a great performance.
Okay, good. So I was paying some attention there.
You're paying a lot of attention. And that's wingmanshow.com. And the frequent flow line, you can ask us any question you'd like to. This week, we do have a question, and it's from a family in Newport News, Virginia. That's near Oceana, where we were, Dr. Paul.
Okay.
And they said, we have a 15-year-old daughter who does great in school and wants to be a pilot, but her eyesight is less than perfect, 2020. Any suggestions of what we can do? And then they say, keep giving us that good news. We all need it.
Okay.
You
Well,
want to give us an answer?
sure. Yes, Commander Drew. Give you some good news. For the most part, you don't have to be 2020. You can be, if you're correctable to 2020. In fact, you can be 2030, even get into the Air Force. When we came in, I remember you had to be 2020, excuse me, at least in the military to start. And if you needed the glasses the next day, they give you glasses. It's kind of crazy. I think that's been relaxed. And you can check if you're interested in the military, check with them directly. It may vary with the services, but for commercial airlines, people get older. They're all wearing glasses. If you're correctable to 2020, you're good to go. So that shouldn't stop her at all.
That is great news. Matter of fact, I didn't even know that because when we went to AOCS, before we even got into an airplane, I remember one of my classmates, he came in, he had 2020, and the last week when they do the medicals, he didn't have 2020, and they kicked him out of the pilot program. He was able to be an NFO, sit in the back seat or in the right seat and be a navigator, but he did all this work, and I think his eyesight back then was 2022 or something crazy, but they wouldn't let him fly. And that
Yeah, I think that's changed. You need glasses, give you a pair of glasses. Keep going.
that's great. Well, you know what that brings us to? It brings us to a Wingman PSA from the 11 facts in life. Fact number 1: wake up, show up, and pay attention, especially to the details. Fact number 1: wake up, show up, and pay attention, especially to the details. And Dr. Paul, I wrote that a while ago because people always want kids to succeed, work hard, you got to believe, all these motivational things. Well, how do you do it? Well, I wrote the 11 facts in life to give you actual steps into becoming successful. And the very first step is wake your butt up, show up, and pay attention to wherever you are. And another thing with wake up, show up, and pay attention is time. Be on time. Time is something that is very valuable. As you get older, you will see. Do not waste time. If you're going to be late somewhere, have the courtesy to call. Have the courtesy to call. And when they tell you to go to school and be ready for class at 9:00, that doesn't mean get into the room at 9. That means with your books open, your pencils ready, and ready to work at 9:00. Is that a little bit old fashioned? Your pencils ready? They probably all.
I guess so. I'm trying to think. I got a bunch of pencils lying around here, and when I need a pen, I need to throw these things out. I'm trying to think the last time I needed a pencil. Typically, it was for like a measurement. Yeah, I guess things have changed.
Crazy, huh?
Yeah.
All right. Once again, do you know what cordyceps is?
It's a kind of mushroom.
It sure is. And cordyceps is one of the ingredients in Magic Mind. They have a whole bunch of ingredients. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to find out what these ingredients are. They actually have 750 types of cordyceps, but only 35 of them have health benefits. But guess what the health benefits are from this thing? Anti-fatigue, anti-aging, anti-cancer, improves energy. It boosts your sex drive, Paul, and it also gives you heart health. You can't beat all of those.
That's a good ingredient. Again, that's in Magic Mind. Check
That's
it out.
in Magic Mind. And if you want Magic Mind, just go to magicmind.co. That's magicmind.co. If you get a subscription, you'll get 40% off. But if you just want to try it one time, just put in the code Wingman20, Wingman20, and they'll give you 20% off. I think that's great, though. A lot of good stuff in that. And I took mine this morning. Did you take yours?
I did. I took it about a half hour before we met today.
This is the gouge. And you know what gouge means. In the Navy, it's stuff you need to know. And I used to say, well, I still say, it's really shit you need to know that people don't tell you. Well, how about I give you some good gouge here, Paul? What if I give you the top 11 things that you have to buy at Costco because they will always save you money?
Okay. Maybe I'll see if I got how many I got.
All right. Eyeglasses, vacations, golf equipment, prescription drugs, vitamins, vaccinations, hearing aids, nuts, restaurant gift cards, medical aids, and I can't believe I'm going to say this one. And actually, they sell caskets and urns, which I've never seen on the floor, but you can get caskets and urns at Costco. The ones I think they left out, Paul, don't you agree? Toilet paper, paper towels, and water.
That's right. Yeah, for the next disaster, everybody makes one of those. One that you left out, remember we were talking about getting gold at Costco?
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't let that on there. That's a little more expensive. But you made, so we've got a number of those things, but you mentioned the vacation stuff. And I may look into that because I found that I had to replace a couple of air conditioning systems, which was not cheap. And I did it through Costco, and I got these Costco benefits, and I realized I didn't activate the benefit. I forgot about it. And it's
How much were
quite a
they?
bit.
How much were they?
The air conditioning system.
No. How much of a didn't they
Oh,
give?
they told me about the bond. I've got he told me it was he says almost $5,000.
Wow.
I'd forgotten. The one was in December. The other was a couple months ago. It's in the email. I wasn't looking at my email. He said, "Wow, that's a bit. Man, I can go somewhere for that."
Wow, that's great.
Yeah,
You and Kim can really go somewhere nice for that.
I would
Well,
say so.
I do a lot of Costco shopping. I got hearing aids at Costco, believe it or not. I need to wear them a little bit more, but from flying jets and listening to rap and rock and roll, my hearing has gone down. And especially being on that carrier up on that flight deck was loud as hell. So I
Right.
did get some hearing aids from Costco and they work great. I also buy all my nuts at Costco. My son, Dr. Brown, told me to start eating 3 Brazil nuts a day for
Okay.
selenium. Did you know about that?
Yeah, I did. I've been doing it for about a year. I'd heard my guy said like one or two. It has a fair amount of fat in it. That's probably okay. I've been doing like 2. Some are big, some are small. I do 2 nuts a day. In fact, I need some more as I think about it. I get my nuts there too, and refill them in a big jar to Costco.
The next thing I wanted, here's some gouge. These colleges are the top colleges for pay. They did a large survey and they showed that the number one school for getting paid is actually MIT and Princeton. And they say that the average mid-career salary is $196,000. But what really blew my mind is that the United States Naval Academy is number 4 on the list. 4 Ivy League schools made up the top 10. And this is what I love. All the military academies were in this list. And actually, they were higher than Yale. Air Force Academy, West Point, the Naval Academy, and even the Merchant Marine Academy. They all had some of the top earners in the country. Isn't that great news?
Yeah, I can see that because having a child that attended one of the academies, the Air Force Academy, those academies are all of them are hard to get into.
You know what the number one major was? You were around this since you're
So
not there.
some kind of engineering.
Yes, it was. It was petroleum engineering majors averaged $212,000 for their salaries of mid-career. That's not bad at all. Well, you know, our show's called The Wingman Show. And the reason it's called The Wingman Show is because we always like to highlight people who actually help others. Paul, you got a great wingman for us this week. Why don't you tell us about him?
Yeah, our wingman this week. I guess I titled this part like the phrase "out of the mouths of babes."
Mm.
Our wingman this week takes us to Somerset, England, which is the southwest portion of England. And it involves the two people, really involves three, but a mother, a little girl, her mother, and her great grandmother. The mother is a young woman who has a series of epileptic seizures. She's been addled with that for a long time. She's a very young woman, but some of these seizures are very, very, very bad. Apparently, she lives alone with her daughter, and the daughter was instructed to call the great grandmother if her mother had a seizure. So apparently, she would do this now and then. They would check in, "How's mommy doing? Oh, she's okay. Okay, fine." And sometimes she was not okay, and she would, use her phone to call. Well, one day she had a very, very bad epileptic seizure, and the little girl was trying to wanted to call her great grandmother, but her mother's phone was locked, and for some reason she couldn't unlock it. So she had presence of mind to go upstairs and use Alexa, which is a cloud device from Amazon, and it connects to all kinds of things. And they said they showed her how to do this. They didn't know she was really paying attention, but in an emergency, she went up and used Alexa to contact her great grandmother and got aid to her mother. And this little girl, Lila Leatham is her name, Lila Leatham. She's only 4 years old.
Wow. That's incredible. That's incredible. Is Lila the wingman or is Alexa the wingman?
I'm gonna say Lila is the wingman because she can watch someone else's back. Alexa wasn't watching anything. She had to go to Alexa. So she has to move. She had to go upstairs and do everything. So I'm gonna give she got a certificate. She got a badge and certificate. I'm gonna give it to Lila Leatham.
Yeah, and she should get Amazon for life for that.
That's a good idea. If you're Amazon, if you're listening.
No doubt about it, Amazon. Well, everybody out there, whatever you think is important and whatever you think is beautiful, and especially whatever makes you happy, may you have that today and forever. I pray for peace.
I pray for peace too. And we appreciate all those who listen, like, and share our message. Share this with somebody you like, even somebody you don't like. And please, if you're watching on YouTube, give us a thumbs up, hit the bell notification, subscribe, and you'll get a notification when we put out a new episode. You think to yourself, when was the last time you heard as much good news as you heard from us today? Pass it on.
Thank you once again, Dr. Paul Thompson, my friend. Thank you for your love, your time, and that's something that we won't ever get back. I want to thank all the listeners, too. Thank you so much for doing the show, Dr. Paul. We're jamming.
Well, thank you, Mr. Drew, for inviting me on. Always good to talk to you. And ladies and gentlemen, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to this podcast or any of the podcasts. If you're looking at YouTube, they say smash the like button. Don't smash it. Just press it gently and use as a link to all your friends. You can also look at us on our website, wingmenshow.com, WINGMEN show, SHOW.com, altogether, wingmenshow.com. And we hope to see you in the future. Thanks again, Mr. Drew.
Oh, you're welcome. And we're still floating like butterflies and stinging like bees. Rumble, you badass jet pilots, rumble. May there be peace on earth. on goodwill towards all men and women.